Does content compound? Hey, what is up, guys? It is Harrison Barron, the One Entrepreneur. Like I just said, does content compound, right? Content does compound, right? We're using a lot of C words today. But content, yes, it does compound over time. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I get a lot of people, they're like, well, I don't understand. I wrote one blog, right? Why am I not getting that much traffic to my website? Or I made one YouTube video. Also, shout out to my dog Hunter, who's hanging out with me today. But these are all questions that I see all the time. And the simple answer is yes, it does compound. But I actually broke out my little pen and drawing tablet here, and I want to show you guys why content compounds, because a lot of people don't quite understand why it keeps compounding over and over and over again, thus making you more successful, getting more views, more impressions, overall just more exposure on your outlet. So when I say outlet, I'm talking about blogs, I'm talking about typically anything found on Google. I'm not really talking about podcasts. It's very hard to get found on podcasts, but those are the two main search engines in the world, right? You have YouTube and you have Google, Google being number one, YouTube being number two, right? And then there's other platforms as well, but ultimately this is what matters, because in social media, it kind of falls off. And I'm actually going to draw that out for you guys so you guys can get a visual idea of what it looks like when you make content, right? And what it looks like when you make content over and over and over and over again. And then we're also going to dive into my analytics, because I think it does a really good job at showing you guys that content actually does matter. But not only does it matter, it's coming out over and over and over again. This is where a lot of people either get messed up because they're like, well, I made 10 videos. I made 20 videos. Well, sometimes 20 videos isn't enough, right? This is what I make is not the most interesting content to a large portion of the world. But to somebody who's interested in marketing or growing their business online, this content is really, really valuable, right? So by me creating more of this content, it just is more likely to get found on Google. And that's why I make this content, right? I want to help more entrepreneurs. My goal is to help more entrepreneurs and other people on the internet, right? Currently, I've helped about 17-ish thousand people so far, just on my YouTube channel alone, and that's not including the thousands of clicks that I've accumulated on my personal website. So pretty powerful stuff. But when I first released my first video or my first blog, I maybe had a couple dozen clicks to it per month, and that's a bummer. Let me tell you. I mean, it's not the most fun, but there is a means to an end, and there's a process that you can go through to help make this entire system, all the algorithms, work in your favor. And that is more content is almost always going to be more better. Right? Now, this also applies to, it has to be good content. If you make really bad content, right, if you pull out a phone, maybe the OG iPhone, right, and I don't even know if it had I think it had a camera on it, right, and you start recording videos on that, and you're shooting in like 360p, nobody's gonna watch it, right? It's super low res. It just doesn't look good. Even if I swapped to my other camera right now, I'd probably have less people watch these videos. Even though the information is good, it just isn't appealing. It doesn't have a bright red shirt, right? You wouldn't be able to. You might actually see too much of my dog. The background wouldn't be blurred out enough, right? But that's why I use a high-end camera, because I'm trying to make good content and good informative content. So let's jump into my whiteboard here, and I want to share with you guys and break down with you guys the process and what it looks like to grow and build content here. So a lot of people, they don't actually realize that typically Google and YouTube work in a very similar way, right? So let's just take this. I'm gonna grab one of my handy dandy credit cards here, and this is what I'm gonna use to outline this. But you're gonna have typically a little bar graph, or graph, I should say. We're just gonna go with that because that's my best chance at looking at a tablet that doesn't particularly have anything else on it other than all black. This is my cool little tablet if you guys would like to take a look. Links are always down in the description down below. It's called a Huion. But I made two, and I'm going to make one of these social media, and the other one I'm going to make content, right? And the reason why I put content on there is really for blogs and YouTube, right? YouTube, and then there's social media. Because a lot of people are like, well, you got to make more social media content. As good as that actually is advice, it's not always true for a lot of people. For me, I don't make great social media content for myself. It's just the nature of the beast. My content isn't killer on social media. Every once in a while you might have a hit, but for the most part, it's probably not going to be the case, right? And then we're going to have, this is going to be time, right? So we're going to put a little arrow over here, and then this is going to be your impressions and clicks. And both of them are pretty much the same thing, impressions, right? That says impressions. Just bear with me here. So the thing is with social media is when you first make content, right, you're going to start to hit a little bit of an audience. And the bell curves are actually going to be like this. Because what most people don't realize is content usually dies after about 24 to 48 hours on social media. So when I say social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, not so much. And I actually want to cover TikTok. But TikTok kind of falls in the same category, right? So you're going to release a video and it's going to go like this. And now the second video is probably going to be a little bit higher than the first because the algorithm wants to reward you for making more content, right? That's ultimately its goal. Is it wants you to be a producer of content on the platform, so hopefully more people will come and consume your content, right? The more eyeballs you can attract for them, the more they're going to show it out. So that way they make more money and you get more impressions and you could potentially make more money, right? And this process keeps going along, and at a certain point you're just going to plane out, right? All of your curves are all going to look the same. But every once in a while, and more so on TikTok, you can have a super viral piece of content that goes up like this. And the fall is actually pretty slow, but it is there. And this is more of like TikTok, and these might be Facebook and Instagram, right? That's just the nature of the beast, right? You have the chance of going super viral. On Facebook and Instagram, you're probably not going to go super viral. There is the chance, but it's far less than on TikTok. And this is TikTok, right? But ultimately, you keep seeing the same bell curve, right? If we draw a line here, you're going to go up, and then you're going to go down, right? Standard bell curve, right? This might be the peak of attention, right? And over time, and by, I don't want to say manipulating the algorithm, but putting out better and better content, you will slowly have these peaks move up. But for the most part, the catch is after about the 24-hour mark, right, they're dead, right? They are dead. That's just it. That's the nature of that kind of content. It is just going to die after about 24 hours. Whereas blogs and YouTube videos have a much longer life. Now, it also depends on what kind of content you're making, but if you're making content that's kind of evergreen, kind of like this, right? This content is really going to last for years and years and years to come. The chances of this dying anytime soon is actually very little, because this concept of producing more content over time is not going to go anywhere, because this is how these algorithms are built. They want people to produce better and better content. That's why you see these massive YouTube creators make more and more content, because they're getting rewarded from it, whether it's paid ads or sponsorships, right? But that's why you see a lot of small creators stop, because they don't have the incentives to keep going like these big creators do. And these big creators, because they're making money and they're getting all the sponsorship deals, are like, oh, I can get more of this if I create more content, right? That is the feedback loop. It's this weird little circle that you actually develop in there, where if you're good, it's gonna go like this, right? You're gonna go here, and then if it's good, right, it's gonna go over here, right? We're gonna give it a little check, and then from here, is it better? Then you're gonna get rewards. Right, and then over here you're going to make more content, right? So you're going to constantly, this is the worst handwriting I've ever had, but you're going to have good content, right? If it's good, you're going to be rewarded for it, right? Whether that's monetarily, whether that's views, right? Or anything in between. More content and more good content is going to reward you with more stuff, right? It's just stuff. It's money, it's views, it's impressions, it's subscribers. There's a whole slew of information in there. And then because you're rewarded by all this, you're like, oh, I can make more good content, right? So then you go and you make more content. This is supposed to say content on here. More content. And then is that content good? If it's good, you're going to be rewarded more. Now, if it's bad, right, you're probably going to have a little break off over here, and then it's going to go into a handy dandy little garbage bin here where nobody's going to watch it, right? Bad. That's a S. Bad, right? That's just the nature of how it works, right? So you're constantly in this feedback loop of good content gets rewarded, so you make more good content. That is literally why super successful people get more and more successful, right? And this is how your content works. So if you can make most of your videos really good videos, or videos that won't die because people constantly need to watch them to learn more about how to grow online, right? You're going to make good content, right? You're going to be rewarded for that content, whether it's views, money, or a variety of other things. And then you're going to be more inclined to make more content, right? And then is it good content? Yes. If it's bad content, it goes in the trash. But if it's good content, you're going to be rewarded. And it's this constant feedback loop. And it essentially powers itself. The algorithms will tell you whether or not you should be making more content. But now, right, blogs and YouTube are kind of ways that you can hack the system per se. And the interesting part is when you first make content on a blog or YouTube video, it really doesn't have the substantial launch. This is a very quick, rapid upswing. It's more like this. It's this very long curve, right? And sometimes these curves vary tremendously, and it could be like this. Whoops, that's like I said, I don't know how to draw well. But every single one of these, right, it could vary. Some of these are going to be like this, right? Every curve is going to be a little different. But the crazy part is you're going to be able to have content that comes up here. And let me just erase some of this stuff over here. And this is how your content is essentially going to work, right? Your content is going to keep ranking over and over and over again. And if I draw this line all the way out, right, and every single curve is going to be drastically different, right? Maybe it's this. I've seen this plenty of times on my content where it's just sitting there, and then all of a sudden it just takes off, right? So all of these different ways of making content, the cool part is, though, is all your content is going to end up somewhere in the algorithm. And this is where you get into the good stuff. So maybe this piece of content up here drives, I don't know, 20 views per day, right? Or 20 views per month, right? Maybe this one's 40 views per month, and maybe this one's 100, right? And maybe this one's 40 again, and maybe this one's 200, but maybe the next one is, you know, I don't know, let's say 50, right? Maybe the next one is 10, right? The interesting part is this might be 1 month, right? Maybe this is 2 months. You're going to keep acquiring this over time. So if this is producing 20 views per month, that's 240 views per year, right? That is then 480 views per year on here, right? And then another 1,200 views on here, and then another 480 views on here, if I'm doing my math correctly, 40 times 12, right? And this is per month. But here's the crazy part. Now you got to do this number at the end of the year, right? 200 times 11. Right? Because now you've lost 1 month, but you're still gaining all of these impressions where they always stay up there. Now, over time, they're eventually going to fall, right? You might have something like this where it goes all the way up, and then it just slowly peters out, which is usually what content does, right? Unless you fix it somewhere along the line to get it to go back up to the #1 spot in Google. But this is why YouTube and videos are constantly so much better than social media, because you can stay and keep getting that attention over and over and over again. So now that I've kind of explained this, and I did a really bad job sketching this out, I actually want to show you guys my YouTube channel. So give me 1 second. I'm going to swap over right now. All right, and now that we're in the analytics, this is the crazy part that I think a lot of people don't really understand, right? Content keeps working for you all the time, unlike social media, right? If I look at any of my social media, it probably is getting maybe a couple views per day if I'm lucky, but this content here is I'm getting 62, 60, 45, 40, right? And my content, once again, it's only applicable to a small percentage of people, right? But over time, it becomes amazing. And right now, as many of you guys probably know, I'm doing 120 videos in 120 days. Now, this graph right here is probably not the best to actually show you, but if I do, let's just look, because we're about halfway through the year. Let's look at 2021, right? Now you can start to see like, hey, my graph really hasn't grown that much, but now if I pull it out to about 365 days, right, you can see that there's a massive transformation in my content, right? I've had one video go kind of viral, nothing too crazy, but it got a couple hundred views in 1 day. But if you look, it was 3, 2, 3, 5, 5, 20, right? And now it's 20, 20, 20, 30, 30. And then now we're talking about like 60s, high 50s and 60s constantly over and over and over again. Now, once again, my content isn't flashy. There's no Lamborghinis in the background. There's nothing like that. But because I make content over and over and over again, and I'm helping provide value to people, this is the hacks that keep allowing me to get more clicks, more connections on LinkedIn, more people reaching out, right? And on top of that, I'm getting more and more impressions and views. Now, I went a little crazy and I'm doing 120 videos in 120 days. Most people don't need to do that, but it's timing. It's not timing, and this is the best day to release. No. It's time in YouTube. So when you release those videos, how long are you actually letting them sit there in YouTube? This is what I see a lot of people, they keep struggling with over and over and over again. They're like, oh, well, I only made one video and I only got 10 views on it, right? But the crazy part is if you look at this, right, and I just keep using this one video because it's just gaining an absurd amount of views, right? It took 144 days to really break the code, and now it completely changed its trajectory. And on a monthly basis here, if we do let's do a 7 day, better yet, let's do a 28 day. We'll call it 28 days, right? For this, I'm gaining 641 views in a 28-day period, right? And if we do the math on that, the crazy part is 641. I can't do math. 641 times 12. 641 times 12 is that's almost 8,000 views that this one video is going to bring in. I mean, that is crazy to think about, that this one video is going to bring in, now going forward, right, assuming that it doesn't lose steam on here, is going to bring in about 641 views to my channel every single month after month. Now, is that going to stay the same? I don't know. But even if you go to the 90-day view, right, you're still talking about 1,900 views, right? So if I do that, 1,900 divided by, let's go 3 months, that's 633 views per month that I'm constantly gaining over and over and over again. And that's where a lot of people, they give up. They're like, well, I'm not famous yet. You're not going to be famous. It's not. These videos were made over a year ago now, and they're still gaining traffic, right? Even though this is only 11 views in the last 48 hours, if we look at it over the last 28 days, we'll call that a month, right? You're talking about 171 views. So if it keeps at 171 views every single month, that's going to be in the 2,000 view mark at the end of the year. So I'm gaining 2,000 views per year on this video. Now, am I guaranteed to get that? No, but it took a while in the algorithm to start working and start growing the way I wanted to, right? So if you look, this is the lifetime of the video, right? You can see all of these data points, and look, it spiked. It's kind of slowing down a little bit, and that's okay. But it took almost, April to January, almost an entire year to really hit its peak. And this is what a lot of people seem to either lose sight of or they get wrong, right? Look at this. The top 4 videos on my channel are all over a year old, right? Because we're currently at June 18th. So this is literally 1 year ago to the date, right? May, June. So that's 13 months ago, right? And still getting views. Now, some of my content, right, October 12th, 2020, right? That is still growing, right? And who knows how it's going to turn out. It's still gaining a decent amount of traffic. Now, it had a huge takeoff, and that's one of the ones that you saw the huge ramp up with. But now it's just kind of sitting there hovering around, right? Is it getting views in the last 48 hours? No, but let's look at the last 28 days. No views. All right, so no big deal. I mean, that's the thing. And this probably wasn't even one of my best videos. Now, it hasn't gotten that many views, but obviously it had to get views at some point because they're top videos in this period, right? Last 365 days. Watch out for this in 2020 or 2021, right? September of 2020, October 1st of 2019. I mean, this is crazy to think about, that all these videos, and even if they're not getting views now, they were getting views at some point in the last year, and that is the most amazing part about this. If we go to just this year of 2021, right, you're going to see some changes in here, and that's the craziest part about all of this. This is going to be the process that is going to help get you the attention you need over time. There is no secret sauce. It's putting in the time to create the content for the views, for the subscribers, and educating people on what you do and how you do it, right? The basics. I mean, ever since the beginning of this year, 3,000 views, 1,300 views, 1,000 views, almost 400 views, 300 views, right? This was made this year on January 2nd. We're halfway through the year. It's gotten 260 views. So about 2 views per day on average, right? How to start your podcast, 232 views. This was made almost 2 years ago. This is the process of compounding content that a lot of people seem to lose sight of over time. This is not something that you should lose sight of over time. This is something that you just have to think to yourself and say, hey, is creating content for me? And if you're willing to say yes, and you're willing to go make 40, 50, 60, 100, 200 views or videos, you are then going to reap the rewards of a massive growing channel. I want to share with you guys one more thing before I let you guys go, because I think that this is another area that a lot of people kind of get messed up on. But if you look, I just found, this, we'll just use some of the more common content creators I personally follow, right? So you have, I watch a lot of car stuff, even Ammo NYC, right? Let's see who else we got on here. I do like to cook a lot, so you'll see some cooking stuff on here. Josh Weissman, all of these guys, some of these big names. Graham Stephan is another one. If we go to their channels, and I'm going to probably mute them right away, But if we go to their, or better yet, yeah, you can see their channel analytics. He's got 885 videos. I mean, that is an absurd amount of content. Same thing with Nick Nimmons, 516 videos. Cody Co, which I know is a huge influencer, 232 videos, right? All of these people are creating tons of content, 269 videos, right? Josh Weitzman, 293 videos. I mean, this is a common theme. All of these people have almost 300 videos on their channels. And the craziest part is, if we go to sort by and we go oldest, you can actually see when they started really making content, right? And I probably should have preloaded these, but I thought about this during the video, so I couldn't do that. But I mean, these content creators are huge. I mean, some of them have millions of followers, right? If we go to videos and we go to the oldest, and I'm just going to do this for these guys here, but you'll see Stradman, right? 8 years ago, he started YouTube. You're talking 8 years ago. You're talking about 2014. Nick Nimmons, right? 6 years ago. He's been going hard for 6 years. Cody Co, 7 years ago he's been making content, and it looks like he started really taking it seriously about 5 years ago. So in 5 years he's amassed 5.57 million subscribers with 200 and something videos, right? That's crazy. These people have been going for a long time, and this is what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do, right? 8 years ago, that is a tremendous amount of time that has allowed them to gain more and more subscribers, all while they're doing their day jobs, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing, right? I'm running my business, I'm making content, and then this video that you're watching now is probably going to be available for years and years to come, because the content is actually pretty good. And it's educating you on why you need to start making content today, and the more content you have, the more likely you are to rank, right? Google and YouTube want to show you guys out, and I'm just using YouTube because it's more visual and a lot of people use it, but creating content, this is the same process on Google. It just takes time for them to figure it out. And the other crazy part is, I love going on little tangents here, but I mean, if you look at how old these videos are, right? 1 hour ago, live, 1 month ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago, 8 minutes ago, 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 days ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 hours ago, 6 days ago, 3 months. I mean, it's a pretty big spread, right? You have 2 years ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 days ago, 3 years ago, right? Cody Co. This is the craziest part, right? This is still getting views. I mean, that should tremendously shift your mind. 2 weeks ago, 1 day ago, right? A lot of it's new content, right? 10 months ago, but some of it's very old content. And every single time I hit refresh, you're going to see constantly new information. 1 week, 4 months. I mean, you're just going to start to see 2 years ago, right? You're going to start to see the common theme that it doesn't matter 1 year ago, and your content can rank for years and years and years to come. So I hope this has encouraged you guys to start making some content. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope I inspired you to make content. Now, do me a favor before you leave this video, leave a comment down below with anything. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite color or anything like that. I would greatly appreciate you giving me some insight on either what you guys want to learn about, or if you guys found this valuable and you're going to start making some content. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hit that like button, subscribe button, little notification bell. I'll see you guys later.